Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about a topic I love to talk about, and it's our Lancaster Barnstormers with one of my favorite people, the voice of the Lancaster Barnstormers, Dave Collins. Thank you for being here.
Glad to join you, Diane. What a time this is, winning 2 championships in a row. It's just exciting, and the fan base is so enthusiastic about it. Just a marvelous opportunity to showcase the Barnstormers, showcase what the Atlantic League's all about, and it's been a lot of fun.
It absolutely has. So we won the championship in 22 and in 23 back to back. And this really hasn't been done since when?
The Long Island Ducks were the last team to do it. They did it in 2012, 2013. So it's been 10 years since there's been a repeat champion. There's never been a three-peat in the Atlantic League, and that's now the mission.
It is the mission, isn't it? Wow, this has been an interesting year, hasn't it? I mean, once again, we've got the second half that pushes us over.
Well, you know, if you pull yourself away from it and think about what's going on and think about what Ross Peoples has created here, I think as much as winning it on the baseball field, and obviously that's where games are decided, I think Ross is able to pull this off with culture. A clubhouse culture where these guys are still so much into playing for each other through the dog days of August and the fatigue of September, and there can be a desire just to get it over with and go home, but these guys don't want it over with because they're so fond of each other. They enjoy each other's company. They enjoy being in the clubhouse together. I actually saw that. We got rained out on a Thursday night down the home stretch of the season, and I went into the clubhouse about an hour and a half, 2 hours after the game, after doing what I normally do once a game is over, and just hanging out a little bit. And I expected the clubhouse to be empty except for the clubhouse managers cleaning up or whatever. And the guys were all sitting around watching Thursday night football, playing cards, and I was like, that speaks volumes. I saw that. To me, it really said something about what Ross has created here. It's a winning atmosphere, a winning culture that sometimes I think, especially in a situation like the Atlantic League, can override talent, experience, because we don't. Other teams in this league have 10, 13 guys who played Major League Baseball. We have 3. But I think what Ross has created can make up for any gap that might be there. But this league also shows that guys just out of college can compete with guys who've been to the major leagues too. So there's just a lot going on that makes the Barnstormers, that makes Atlantic League baseball the really special thing that it is.
They really play with a lot of heart. I know when we talked to Ross and we talked to Troy Steffi last year, that's really what this is about. I mean, they bring that to the game.
Well, the guy who sets the tone to me is Melvin Mercedes. Plays second base, leads off. The guy doesn't know how not to hustle on any given play. Ross calls him the energy bug, and it's really, really true. And it's a bug, not like something on 6 legs, but a bug that's a contagion. His energy, his enthusiasm, his love for the game carries throughout that batting order. He's also a very intelligent leadoff hitter, but it's just his love, his passion for the game really sort of carries right on through on the field, and you can't really put enough words onto what Melvin means to a ball club. I think he's sensational. In many ways, I think he is certainly one of the 5 best Barnstormers of all time. He loves it here. He's got family roughly in this area, even though he's from New York. But just a great ball player, a great person, a great teammate, and it just carries on through. He's really, really part of the culture. But everybody does. I mean, you saw them, especially with the running game and the defense in the infield. You saw them spilling their guts on the field, especially those last 2 games at Gastonia. With everything on the line, you lose, you're done. There's no repeat champion, no repeat championship. The trophy stays down there instead of coming back on the bus with us, and you just saw it. It was so palpable, and nothing spoke to it any more than Andretti Cordero, with 2 outs in the top of the ninth, hit a 2-run single into right field that pretty much iced the game. It made it 7-1, and he celebrated as if it were a walk-off home run. He was running down the first base line, arms in the air, fist pumping. It was great, but it's just that much energy on this ball club after 5.5 months of going to work every single day, occasionally a Monday off, but 5.5 months you go to work every single day. If you get those Mondays off, they're working out in the gym or they're throwing on the field or whatever. There's no break. It's 5.5 months of go, and still they had that much energy and enthusiasm, and because they feed off of each other and they feed off the fans here in Lancaster too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the fans just love the Barnstormers. So when we got into this, we won at home and then we lost at home. So we went there with 1-1, right?
We went there with 1-1, and it's really funny because they always, in a best-of-5 series, they always call Game 3 the pivotal Game 3.
Right.
Well, the odd part about that is in the history of our franchise, the team that has won Game 3 when it's been tied 1-1 has lost the series 5 out of 6 times. So it's like, do we really want to win Game 3? And I got back on the bus after Game 3, and I said, now remember, what did we lose Game 3 by last year? And Ross and Troy and Jeff and Mark, they're all like, we don't remember. 7-3. This is an omen.
Right.
And sure enough, we came out and we just played. We played spectacular baseball the final 2 games. A little bit of a hiccup in the bottom half of the 9th inning, completely unexpected one on Saturday night that scared us a little bit. But other than that, great series, great performance by Brent Teller on Sunday. Gastonia, it was a very, very good team with a tremendous offense. And Brent just shut them down on Sunday, as he can do. Any given time he goes out there, he can be absolutely fantastic and dominate a game, and he did.
Yeah, well, the night before it was only winning by 1, right?
Yeah, it was 9-4. It was 9-4 going into the bottom of the 9th, and then we had the daylights kind of scared out of us there, and even the final out was loud.
Yeah.
Line drive to shortstop, and it ended up 9-8. Fortunately, we scored 4 gift runs in the 7th inning, 4 straight walks, or 4 walks out of 5 batters, I guess it was, and kind of handed us 4 runs in the 9th inning. But still, we had to take advantage of it. Wild pitch, a sac fly, and then a single, getting some of those runs home. So we performed well in the clutch. Our defense was great throughout the playoffs. Our catcher, Jack Conley, I thought really rose to the occasion. He had some clutch hits in the playoffs and was just fantastic behind the plate. Chris Proctor, who is a catcher by trade, but because of a broken thumb earlier in the year, couldn't catch very much. They wanted to make sure that the thumb healed 100%, so he was mostly in the outfield for us. Had a marvelous playoff series, especially, he's from Gastonia.
Oh, okay.
By the way, he really plays well in that ballpark. He scored 7 runs in the 3 games we were down there, stole 4 bases. Just had a terrific stretch in Gastonia with his friends and family there. So it was we had a lot of different guys. It was tough to pick an MVP. We went with Teller because he also pitched very well in Game 1. Didn't get the win, but we won that one 3-2, and then the 7-1 win on Sunday. And a starting pitcher who performs that well twice will often get the MVP nod, but we had so many other possibilities for that honor.
Yeah. You have so much excitement, and I know some of this can be heart-stopping when you are announcing, but you bring such an energy to this that if we're just listening to you and we're not seeing it, we do feel like we're there. I mean, you are Mr. Baseball when it comes to that day.
It's funny because by and large, you could ask my wife. I'm really not that emotional of a person, but when it comes to this, my emotions are just out there, including frustration, which occasionally gets me in trouble. But when the team's not performing up to the way I think they can and should be performing, I get upset, and it comes through.
It does.
There was one one night, I won't get into the details. I had that happen this year. I just screamed "Why" into the microphone, and that night I was just scrolling through my phone. I see 3.5 minutes of Vikings broadcasters being frustrated with the team, and I was like, God has a great sense of humor. Like, I needed this right now because I felt so unprofessional. And then I listened to what these guys in the NFL. Why did he throw it there? Why didn't he run it? Yeah, it was great. It was perfectly timed. So
Right.
I felt a little better about myself at that point.
That's good.
But
good.
I mean, I guess in a lot of ways I'm the team's biggest fan.
Well,
I
you are.
travel with these guys. I know these guys, and they're fantastic people. That's part of the culture that Ross brings in here. We have good guys. We have guys you could take home to mom. I mean,
Yeah.
we just have good people.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Lancaster Barnstormers and also the Atlantic League with no one else other than Mr. Baseball, Dave Collins. Stay with us. You're watching Lancaster Community TV, LCTV 66. Welcome back to Behind the Lines, and we're talking to the voice of the Lancaster Barnstormers, Dave Collins. And Dave, you are obviously a huge fan of the Lancaster Barnstormers, as am I, but you are also a huge fan of the Atlantic League.
Yeah, I very strongly believe in the purpose of this league, and it's twofold. One is in the baseball realm. It gives players an opportunity to show the baseball world that they still have something to offer. And this year it wasn't so much with the Barnstormers, but out of the 10 teams in the league, there were probably 35 or 40 players that had the opportunity to either return to a major league organization or play baseball abroad. And that's the reason guys come here. They want to be able to show that they still have these skills and the like to pursue their major league dreams, which all of them have as kids. All dream about going to the major leagues.
Right.
And these guys are able to keep that dream going as adults, as far as we'll take them. And obviously, we have players that have played Major League Baseball, and they're trying to get back. So that in the baseball world, that is our niche. In the business world, the Atlantic League provides opportunities for markets like Lancaster to have a professional baseball team, which affiliated baseball would not allow. Reading and Harrisburg both can claim rights to Lancaster County, and an affiliated team was not allowed to come here as much as people wanted it, and I understand why people wanted it. But this league all got started when the gentleman Frank Bolton, who owned the Albany Yankees, the Yankees AA team back in the middle 90s, wanted to move his team to Long Island. And the New York Mets said, not on your life are we allowing a Yankees affiliate into our backyard on Long Island.
Okay.
And so Mr. Bolton, who is the founder of the Atlantic League, said, well, I'm putting a team on Long Island. And that's really how the Atlantic League got started. He had a deal. Now, it wasn't the original site that he ended up building on. I think originally it was supposed to be in Nassau County. It's out in Suffolk County. But that has been an unbelievably successful minor league franchise. And it's really the cornerstone franchise of the Atlantic League is the Long Island Ducks. And they still, they lead the league in attendance every year. They do a marvelous job marketing up there. And then you have the Barnstormers. But the other thing I like about the Atlantic League is that winning matters. And you saw that with the reaction of this team. And you get to major league organizations, they want to win. The Orioles are thrilled that their AAA team in Norfolk won the AAA title. But at the same time, each individual game is about developing the prospects and not winning that game necessarily. Everything's planned out ahead of time from the major league front office. What pitchers throwing what innings and how many. Ross has to make all those decisions himself.
Okay.
With his three coaches. So there's a little more of a homespun baseball feel. It's not as canned. It's not computerized. It's 25 guys out there trying to win a game and support each other to win a game. To me, there's a lot more humanity in the Atlantic League. These guys come with stories. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, but they all come here with stories. You think of, just some of we've had over the year. A guy who was in the last step to becoming a Catholic priest and then decided that wasn't the life that he wanted and wanted to play baseball again.
Wow.
A guy who had been a pretty top-level college football player, but he had played some baseball earlier in his life and then decided he wanted to play baseball again. After, 2 or 3 times trying out for teams in the NFL, not quite working out for him, came back, played baseball. Devon Torrance, he was here for a couple of years. So there are always some great stories out there. And I mentioned Melvin Mercedes before. You talk to people about Melvin, and he just kind of got overlooked in the Oakland system where he played for 6 or 7 years. But I've talked to people around this league about Melvin, and they're like, this guy should have been in the big leagues. We don't understand why he wasn't there. He's phenomenal. He just kind of got overlooked, lost in the shuffle. For whatever reason, and he's been able to show here how good he really is. Now, is that going to lead to a major league future? He's 31, so that might work against him. But you just hope somebody somewhere gives Melvin a shot.
Yeah.
The guy's a great baseball player.
What are the ages that you typically see in this?
Well, it varies. Lou Ford was still playing for the Long Island Ducks, and he was 47. So
okay,
that obviously that's out of the norm. That's an outlier. But typically, the youngest player around will be about 23. Some of these guys, we have Joseph Carpenter, who was a year and a half ago playing for the University of Delaware. But, local guy from Lebanon County. Okay. Ross took a chance on him late in the 22 season. He needed a fill in first base in the outfield, and Joseph came in and, not only did a really commendable job on the field for somebody as young as he is, but also has a maturity about him, the way he carries himself in the clubhouse, that he fit in really well. So he was back. He was with us this entire season. So that's on the lower end. And our oldest players this year were 36.
Okay.
But there were a number of players in the league older than that. I mentioned Ricardo Gomez, who played for us 15 years ago, still played for Charleston this year. He was 45.
Okay.
Turned 45 during the season. Alejandro De Aza, our center fielder from 2021, has played for the Ducks since then. He turns 40 in April. So you get these guys, Ford and Deaz are guys who played in the major leagues for a significant amount of time, still love to go out there and compete.
Absolutely.
So who wants to take that opportunity away from them?
Oh, yeah. So I believe we said that in 1998 is when the league started. Is
Yes.
that correct? And then the Barnstormers in 2005.
2005. The only franchise older than we are is Long Island. Long Island, actually, even though we call them the Cornerstone franchise, and the reason the league got started, they actually didn't get going until 2000 on Long Island. None of the original franchises remain in this league. And that, I think, also speaks volumes about the job that's been done here and the job that's been done on Long Island. It is not the easiest thing. It's not easy to get a franchise started, but I think it's harder to keep it going. Ballparks deteriorate if you're not on top of every little detail. And that's, I think, more than anything else, our ownership and management take pride in the fact that Clipper Magazine Stadium is 18 and a half years old and looks like it opened yesterday.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And that is really key to long-term success, because if people start seeing the ballpark deteriorating, they start to lose interest in coming out.
Yeah.
And then it spirals, because then you don't have the revenue to patch up the holes in the ballpark. And we've watched that 4 or 5 times in this league, sort of that, it was popular to begin with and then it sort of gets into that downward spiral. But I think here you could see it in York as well, that they really keep they're 2 years newer than we are, but that ballpark looks brand new. They do a tremendous job there, and we're hoping that concept keeps people coming. And obviously Mike Reynolds won Executive of the Year this year. The guy is
Yes.
he's a tremendous boss, which has a lot to do with his success, but also he has just so many ideas, innovations for marketing, for non-baseball events at the stadium, for marketing the stadium as well as the baseball team.
Absolutely.
And it's worked wonderfully, so that Clipper Magazine Stadium is not something that's lost on people for the next 6 months. We've got all kinds of things: RV show, Brew Fest, Christmas Spirit Light Show, the Christmas Tree Lane, and then it will carry over through the winter. There will be other things going on at the ballpark. So that's always active. People become accustomed to going to the ballpark. They see what a nice venue it is, and so it's in the front of their minds. Hey, we'll come to a baseball game too. It's not lost for 6 or 7 months.
No, it isn't. It's become a community hub. It really has, because there's so much going on here. Like you were saying with Mike Reynolds and with the team there, it really is a community and group effort.
Yeah, and that comes from our owners too.
Yep.
The guys who started Clipper Magazine a quarter century ago or beyond. They believe in this community. They absolutely believe in this community. They're very, very entrenched here. They love Lancaster, and because of that, only one of the four is a baseball fan. That's where you really sort of understand the overall picture, the overall mission of the Barnstormers is to be something for this community, not to be simply a baseball team.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is something for the community, and it brings us all together. And you were a big part of that during the season, and I am so glad you took some time today to come in and to share with us your thoughts and experience. And I think perhaps there can be a book written about some of these players too. Maybe that's something we need to look into.
I might do that at some point in my old age, whatever. Write the history of the Barnstormers.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's become a passion of mine. I always used to drive through Lancaster on 3222 on the way to Reading when I was in the Eastern League with Bowie, but never pulled in here. The first time I pulled in here back Christmas time in 2003, I was like, "There's something here I've got to be part of." Yeah. It was my immediate response.
Well, thank you.
And I haven't regretted that decision 1 minute.
And we are glad that you're here. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being here today to share your
thoughts
Diane. Too. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. Yay, Stormers. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.